What's up, everybody? Welcome back in to another edition of SSPN Postgame. We got another W, Ethan, and tonight, so far, it felt like, as DeJounte said, they needed to build off the win, and they did it tonight in this performance against a good Eastern Conference team as of right now. I was impressed with what I saw from the Wizards at the beginning of the game and the way that they were playing, just the amount of spacing that they have from that Lakers trade. You know, you don't really think too much of Kyle Kuzma and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but you felt their impact tonight when we were playing them. Same with Montrezl Harrell. But Ethan, what were your overall thoughts on this one before we jump into our awards?
I am really surprised that we stayed in the game for as long as we did and managed to pull away in the fashion that we did late in the game because the Wizards are surprisingly a very good team, in my opinion. 13-8, but they only have one All-Star. That's one more than we have, and a lot of people are high on guys like Kyle Kuzma, like you said, Spencer Dinwiddie, Montrezl Harrell, a very deep team indeed. But you know what? The Spurs, they showed me something tonight, Jude. They showed me what their potential could be if all things click offensively and defensively. And, it helps that Derrick White showed up tonight as well.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the story. Want to say shout out to Nanimo and Asia Robertson. I'm pretty sure y'all are from TSR, so we appreciate you, TSR, if you send them over here. Another great Spurs content creator. We just did a good little talk with him and Clan the Spurs fan on his channel a couple of days ago. And I think that our takes on Derrick White after these past two games, they're probably shifting a little bit. And I think that that's a great segue of just kind of to go into the awards for tonight. My offensive MVP and defensive MVP is Derrick White. These past two games have kind of felt like that Charlotte game that I always go back to last year where it was 25 and 26. Tonight it was 24 and 22 from those two guys. But even if he shoots 10 for 21, it doesn't matter. Like, if he can get 24 points, like if Derrick White is scoring 20 points, then this Spurs team, I think, has a chance to compete with everybody. And that's because DeJounte is doing it consistently. You know, DeJounte just looked like that guy again tonight. His confidence is through the roof. That little layup that, he did his best Steph impersonation. I forget who he was driving past on that one. It was great in clutch time, and it really just put a stamp on the run that these guys had in the second half. You let it slip a little bit at the end of the first half after playing pretty even basketball, but the way that they were kind of able to make those adjustments and take over, we really saw some growth tonight. Once again, it's just two games. You got to keep stacking those wins, and you got to keep, building. And shout out to TSR. I see him in here. Go Spurs, go! Great win, yes. Eric Pacina, you too. Asia, F. Nico. So once again, that's why I got Derrick with the offensive and defensive MVP tonight. We saw the steals he had, the way that he's just always plucking at the ball. He gives problems to whoever he's guarding.
Pretty nasty block, too.
Yes, absolutely. So let's swing it to you, my guy. I'm assuming you probably got him as offensive and defensive MVP too. What were your thoughts on Derrick tonight?
Derrick surprised me. I didn't see this game coming, in all honesty, because most of it happened in the third quarter. So in the first half, I was like, it's a pretty ordinary game from Derrick. He's trying to get other guys involved offensively. He still looks pretty abysmal. But then, he just saw one shot go in, and then he saw another one go in. And then all of a sudden, Jude, he was just looking for his own shot, which was a change of pace for me because usually Derrick is really looking for other guys first, it seems like, because his shots weren't falling. But tonight, super aggressive, getting to the paint. His in-between game was finally falling with his floaters and his layup package and getting to the free throw line as well. Just everything you could possibly want from Derrick White. It seems like his confidence is just, was going up as the game progressed, and hopefully that can continue as we move on into further games because this is only one game. I don't want to overreact, but it's a positive move in a positive direction for Derrick White, somebody that we absolutely need to play well if we're hoping to get some wins this season. And defensively, like you said, just, always being a pest on ball. That really hasn't been an issue this game. But holding Bradley Beal to only 18 points is a tough thing to do, and he managed to do it. And Spencer Dinwiddie as well, to 16 points. Just an incredible performance from Derrick White. Yes, Derrick, 7 of 9 and 3 of 4 from 3 with 18 points in that third quarter. Really just took over for us because it looked for a little while there like the Wizards were almost like about to slip away and take over the ball game. And he just kind of put it on himself playing alongside that bench unit, he was like, I'm the guy, I'm going to lead us, and I'm going to take it upon myself to really manage the offensive load. And he was able to do that, something that we haven't been able to see prior to this game.
Yeah, I think Nick makes a great point here as well, because it seems like Derrick was taking the same shots, but we've talked about it for a while. It's like it feels like Derrick needs to get in rhythm,
Hmm.
game by game to get it going. But you just wonder if maybe, because we've seen in past seasons, in obviously little spurts, because the past 2 years he's dealt with a lot of injuries, but it's like when he has had those stretches of consistency, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so you want to hope that it's not just another little stretch that doesn't always, you know, end up happening and it isn't consistent, which is what you want from Derrick, especially with that contract. And it's like, watching this type of game, you see the contracts that you have, and I feel like I'm just reiterating the same point, but it goes back to that Charlotte thing. It's like these are your two guys that are your oldest guys, they're most experienced guys, and you need them to show up. That's what happened tonight. But we need it to be consistent, and you got to keep stacking it. It's some
Hmm.
hope, because it's like, okay, it's 2 games in a row, and it's like you felt like it was a switch from what we've seen from the response of all these other games, and it feels like the energy's different when you're watching the team. It feels like the confidence up. It feels like something's different in these 2 games, but it could be 4 straight losses after this with the way that the season is gone. But I think that the important thing is, like our boy Fat Boy says, there's so much potential, right? And I think that we've got to talk about something else in this game other than just Derrick White. And I think that that's Josh Primo. We got to see more minutes from him in key
Hmm.
situations. I love the way he pushes the floor. I love the way he was playing on defense. Him and Trey Jones are pests on defense. That was the way that I could kind of think to describe them. They were giving Bradley Beal some issues, which is great to see from young players, first-year player and a second-year player in Trey Jones. Especially when the absence of Devin Vassell, those 2 threes that he hit were huge. So you love to see the spacing from him there and the potential from him once again. You just don't see the ceiling with Josh Primo. You just don't see it when he's on the floor.
Absolutely. He and Trey Jones, I have never seen a time where they're on the court where I've thought, oh, they're afraid of the moment. Like, this is too big for them.
Yeah.
They obviously are still trying to grow. They just look ready to play NBA level basketball already. And they made a few, mistakes here and there defensively, just like being overly aggressive. But that's their age. They'll kind of figure that out as they continue. But offensively, like you said, pushing the pace in transition, that was something we desperately needed. And I agree with TSR. Bryn's minutes, Primo is ready, man. He hit 2 for 2 tonight. I know Bryn had 2 as well, but just everything
You can
else,
tell
yeah, he's
the
just
way he
ready to take
looks.
that spot. Yeah, I mean his jump shot's pure. I mean, if he's able
When he
to match
pushed the
Bryn's
ball
boards,
up the floor and
yeah.
it was like cross court, and it was just such a casual pass. I was like, dude,
Hmm.
this kid's 18. Like, he should not be doing this right now, but he is. And so, yeah, Primo's ready. We got it from Fat Boy too. And like, look, I think that we're not also like, this isn't Primo's final projection. We're not like Primo's ready to come in and take over. It's like, no.
Hmm.
Last year, Primo played for a very experienced Alabama team, and he was an off-ball shooter. It's
Yep.
obvious that that's what the Spurs need right now, for him to just be a 3-and-D guy. And you can tell that he can develop. We've seen his Austin tape. We've seen him play in Summer League. We've even seen him take the ball up the floor, in the preseason. But it's like you just need an off-ball shooter. He's that guy for you. He can be that guy for you. He's 6'6". He can play 3 positions. He's
Yeah.
super athletic. I mean,
And
that's all it is.
there's no reason to play Bryn instead. That's what it gets down to, in my opinion. Like the
Yeah.
shooting, Primo can shoot. Primo is a better dribbler. He's got more upside. He's 18 years old. He's with us long term. Like, what's going on? Trade everyone. Yeah, Tanner's on it. Tanner's ready. Primo and against the world. I mean, we might win a couple more games.
hmm Absolutely. Want to address a couple things in the comments that's been going on. People have been asking about Devontae Kaycock, and I'm sure there's been some jokes in here as well. I know, interesting name,
What did you
right?
just call me?
But right, exactly. But he is just coming out of college, only 6'7", mainly just an energy guy, a rebounder. He led all of the NCAA, I think his senior year, wherever he went to college. It was like UNC Wilmington. It was some
Hmm.
D2 school, not D2, but like low level. D1 school, and that I had never heard of before I looked into Devontae Cacok, and he led the NCAA in rebounds, and he's been getting a bunch of boards down in Austin as well. But I don't see him as somebody who's going to be a really in the Spurs future. He's a two-way guy. Maybe he takes like Eubanks' spot or something next year as the third string center if things go a certain way. I don't know. I'm not even convinced on that. That's like a big maybe. So to address that, that's who Devontae Cacok is. And as you saw when he came and played in, they played him next to Jock Landale. So he wasn't even playing center, even though that's really what he is because he can't shoot. But they had to put somebody in to have some sort of spacing in that lineup. And speaking of Jock Landale, got a little layup there at the end. He was asking for the foul. I love his personality on the court. Even though we only get him in like little spurts, it's fun to see that from him. He's somebody that I'm really intrigued to see when he gets consistent minutes. And another thing about this team too, Ethan, at the beginning of the broadcast, watching the game tonight, Devin Vassell, Doug McDermott, and Zach Collins. And I'm watching the Washington Wizards. They're like, these are these are going to be three contributor guys, right? These are going to be three rotation players for the Spurs. They aren't even playing. And they put it together tonight and got a win against a good team. As of right now, I mean, maybe Washington just falls apart for the rest of the season. But this was the best looking Washington team, in my opinion, watching them. It just organizationally, like structurally as a roster, this is the best looking team I've seen in Bradley Beal's, entire tenure there. I know there was the whole John Wall thing that they had, but it didn't really work out too well. So just an all around good team win, man. I'm very surprised like you were as well.
17-point win, dude. That doesn't happen very often this season. It's probably not going to happen for a while after this. Do you want to move on to the unsung hero of the night?
Yes, we can. And I'll just say that, yes, that arena was empty. It was tough. And it's like, I was there on Friday. It's just people, it's a Monday night. It's just tough,
Yeah.
Because it would have been awesome, especially with those KJ dunks. Want to give a shout out to him, the way that they started the game. Yeah, he's looking really good. He's another reason why the Spurs won tonight, and they're on this little 2-game energy. We talk about DJ and Derrick outplaying Beal tonight. Yes, they did outplay that backcourt, which is huge. But Keldon Johnson's contributions over the past 2 games and the way that he's looked, he also hit that 3, set the tone to start the game. Even if he only does it in like little spurts, and whether it's at the end of the game, middle of the game, beginning of the game, that always sets the tone in any game that it happens in, right? Whether it's the dunks or the threes. And so that energy and just enthusiasm that he brings on the floor, and like, it's just the vocalism, I guess you could say. It's just you can tell that tonight, whenever he is playing well, and then on top of that, you have that, because you have that every night from Keldon. I think it really impacts the other team, and it just impacts, who's got kind of control and confidence in the game. Same thing with like, DeJounte's kind of Kobe face, if you want to say. Like, we saw a little bit more of that tonight. It's like Pop said, give me some nasty. We've seen some nasty the past 2 nights, and KJ's a big part of that. So shout out to him as well.
Is he your unsung hero?
He could be. I actually had Keita Bates-Diop written down as my unsung hero. Had the 2 little and ones in there, and I just think he's the unsung hero. He's not doing too much, not making any mistakes. He's just in there playing that role. Added some size. We know that Keita Bates-Diop is not like a special player or anything, but he's a guy that you can plug and play, and he's going to do the things that you need him to do, not going to make very many mistakes. I just like his frame at that 4 right now for the Spurs, and I think that's why he's starting. It's not necessarily that he's the best 4 on the roster. It's just that his size, his skill set, and just the way that, kind of next to DeJounte, and maybe this is, something that has to do with the way that DeJounte and Derrick have been able to open things up more, is you're throwing somebody else in that starting lineup who, I guess, who was it before Keita Bates? It was Doug McDermott. Yeah, so still less shots from that spot, even though it's still, obviously, we know Doug is an off-ball guy, but like, I think that's definitely allowed Derrick White to take more shots, which has allowed him to get in rhythm. So hopefully he can continue. And KJ, over the last 9 games, just going back to that point here, TSR brings up something great. Y'all go check out his channel if you have it. Does live streams of the games and other games for his favorite teams as well. 18 for 30 on 3-pointers, 60%. That's insane. So really has turned around that early season slump. And
Absolutely.
as Tanner says, KBD is quite literally the best power forward in sport. Oh,
Quite
oh
literally.
my gosh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah,
The mid
KBD
fundamentals.
not a legit four, and I think this is kind of what I was going for. But like, he's filling like he is a body there right now, and he's not like causing anything bad to happen.
Yeah.
Which
I know
is
what you mean.
actually like really important because if we didn't have anybody there, we would just be completely abused in that position. So shout out to him for making the team, and then now he's getting unsung hero awards from SSPN, which I know is just the most dignified thing of all time.
It's just a step above a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award.
Yeah, just a
It's
step.
just a
I
step
think
above.
I think that KBD came into the season and this was his main goal. So congrats
Yeah.
on doing it. November 29th, 2019.
Yeah, facts. I think so too. But my unsung hero, same position but a different player, Thaddeus Young. Or I guess you could say he's a center, but I consider him a power forward. I'm just gonna say it, Jim. I'm gonna rip it off like a band-aid.
Say it.
My man Drew Eubanks was playing pitiful tonight. It was
He had that
embarrassing.
block, but that was it.
That was it. It was just bad. Offensively, bad. Defensively, bad. His picks, mid. Everything mid. But Thaddeus Young came in that second half. He only had 13 minutes tonight, but he just energized the team both as a playmaker and as a scorer. 5 for 7 tonight. He made Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell's new name is Thaddeus Young's son, because Montrezl Harrell couldn't do anything with old head Thaddeus Young. Did I say that right? Montrezl Harrell couldn't do anything with old head
Yes,
Thaddeus Young.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Thaddeus Young, yeah, scoring, defense, everything you could possibly want from him. He and Derrick White, to me, were the spark plugs that really pushed us past the Wizards. Obviously, DJ came back in and kind of, finished them off. But those two paired up in the third quarter, toward the end of the third quarter and start of the fourth quarter, really propelled our offense past the Wizards. Because, as much as I like Drew Eubanks, there's no way he could have done what Thaddeus Young was able to do
Yeah.
tonight. And just doing all those little things that he's known for doing. A very gritty defensive player. Had a really nice, poke the ball loose play, running in
Yep. I know
transition.
exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
He's just known for doing that, man. And I know he's not a center, but if my man Drew Eubanks keeps playing as badly as he is, you're gonna have to take his minutes away, give him to Thaddeus at least until Zach Collins is back, or even Jacques Landale. You brought him up. Maybe we start giving him a few more minutes too, because I like Drew Eubanks. I think occasionally he brings some great energy to the team. He's a great roller to the basket, but at a certain point you got to start cutting the ties, and I think this might be that moment for him, unless Pop just can't take the minutes away from him because he's known for doing that as well.
Yeah. Gave him you saw that Drew knew what was happening.
Oh yeah.
And Pop gave him a little, pat on the butt. It's like he's playing hard. It's not clicking. But I'm glad you brought up Thaddeus Young, dude, because the first thing that I was thinking, and I know I didn't say it, but going into tonight's game, I was like, all right, finally, Thaddeus Young can go in and play Montrezl Harrell and actually be able to do what he's supposed to do, because they're both 6'7", 6'8", and you saw the results of it. He's just a veteran. He's got the little hook shot. It doesn't look pretty. It's ugly, but it's good. Oh
Yeah.
man, it feels good. It's ugly, but it feels
Pause.
good.
Pause.
But
I've heard
anyways,
that before.
want to also just get a little off topic here. Asia, I see that you've talked about mods in the chat. I don't even know how to set up mods. I would definitely love to set up moderators. Luckily, we haven't had any issues in the chat so far. Everybody keeps it it's a friendly vibe here. It's all Spurs Nation. Nothing disrespectful, nothing like that. We don't allow that here. But, we got a good crew. We'll look into getting that set up, but I don't really know how to do that. Anyways, just had seen that a couple times. Thaddeus Young, great game. And let me see how many points he had at the end of the day. I don't have the box score pulled up. I had it pulled up earlier.
10.
Okay, he had 10. Yeah, so we had some technical difficulties before the stream, y'all. We got it figured out though, luckily. So
Fat boy trying to donate. Appreciate the thought.
yes, we appreciate it. I think we got to get to 1,000 before we can do super chats. So appreciate y'all for sure. DeJounte also almost another triple-double tonight. I didn't even realize that. I was kind of just watching the game on mute, not really watching stats. But I will say also, even though Bryn does repeatedly get beat on defense. It feels like he had a good shooting night, which that we got to give him some credit, somewhere. And Jakob, another double tonight as well, had 2 blocks and a steal also. But with Jakob tonight, even though obviously he got the win, so it doesn't matter, but he was getting bullied defensively, especially in that first half down there by Daniel Gafford. There were a lot of plays where he got beat by Daniel Gafford, and that was a little bit uncharacteristic. Hopefully that's just a one-game thing, and, he picks it back up, and luckily everybody else had a great night tonight. But that was something else that I kind of had written down, getting into just the end of our post-game recap, some things that we did well, some things we still need to get better at. I wrote down Bryn getting beat on defense. That's just something that's going to consistently happen. Luckily, he made a couple shots for us tonight. But the other thing I have written down, this is the last thing I had written down, Ethan. Primo was playing solid help defense on the perimeter and in the post. So once again, no argument for keeping Bryn on the floor, because it's like the thing that he does bad, I literally wrote down about how Primo was doing good at it. So that's, I think that's my major takeaway of maybe something that we learned in this game. We still need to see all of this more consistently whenever it comes to the future of who's going to get minutes. And, because who knows, Derrick White could go cold for another 9 games, and then we're sitting back having the same conversation. But as of right now, it really feels like, Pop's been listening to the YouTube community a little bit. He's given Primo some minutes, and we are reaping the benefits so far. Let's see if he gives him more. I think it might be realistic. I really do.
I do as well. I think he might be listening a lot more than we think, Jude, because I was really looking for it this game. An improvement to me was we stopped switching so many times off of screens. It seemed like we were really doing a deliberate effort to chase our men, and I think that might have been because we had Bradley Beal to worry about, but it seemed like both DeJounte and Derrick were really fighting through those screens to really lock up some of those talented guards on the other side of the court. And to me, that really helped our team defense overall, and it led to a lot of turnovers for the Wizards. And we outscored them in transition points 17-0 tonight. So that goes to show you, if we continue to play fast and up tempo and really get on those balls, because pause. That's a recipe for winning, because we're such a fast and young team and really great in transition, especially when we got Keldon Johnson running the court, that big body as he does, that raging bull. Transition offense, transition defense was also phenomenal tonight. But we still need to improve on. I don't know. I just said take Bryn out of the game and move Thad to the backup center. Honestly, that was just the only thing that was glaring tonight. We out rebounded them 51-40, which was a great thing. That's 2 games in a row, Drew, where we've managed to out rebound our opponent, which is really difficult with
That's huge.
A lack of size. So yeah, that was a great thing as well. And if you care about plus minus, everybody was plus tonight except for Eubanks and Trey Jones. So that's another plus.
Yeah, just looking at some of the other big stats here. 8 for 18 from 3, which is 44%. It rounds out to about that. Believe it or not, the Wizards made more threes than us and shot 29%. Took a lot more, missed a lot more, but still made more threes than us tonight. And, you win by almost 20. 53% overall on the night as well, which is that's about 10 more shots than they made overall. So that was the difference there, just straight up. Did better on free throw shooting. We're still missing a lot, 10 for 16. Glad you made 10, but that's still something that can get a little bit better. But like you're saying, the rebounds, winning that by 51-40, that's huge, especially with this team. But I think that's also the product of actually playing a team that, you can match up with. Like, hey, Thaddeus, here's someone you can finally be yourself against, just realistically.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good to see. And yes, we do like other sports besides basketball. I see that in the chat a little bit as well. But this is where we're talking Spurs only. It's SSPN, it's the Spurs Sports Programming Network. So we appreciate y'all being here. But any other overall thoughts on this game, Ethan?
One thing, I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, just really big of these guys, mentally, to have the awareness to stay in a game when they got down by 10 and to fight back and win by 17, pretty much all taking place in the second half. that shows a lot, especially since we have such a young team with only basically one, unless you count DeJounte as a veteran, one veteran in Thaddeus Young. So that's a great building block to take moving forward in the season.
Yeah, another thing I didn't realize, this is probably the biggest stat of the night, kept everybody on their team under 20 points. Specifically, Bradley Beal, 8 for 21, 1 for 5 from 3, 18 points. He had to pass, 8 assists, but still, you kept Dinwiddie played a really efficient game, but you kept him in check, didn't do anything crazy. Really, the only thing you did was you forced shots to KCP, and he made a lot of them, but it wasn't enough at the end of the day. A lot of those assists from Bradley Beal were to KCP, and it's like you just rather... Yes, KCP is a sniper, but at the same time, it's like you'd rather have KCP taking shots than Bradley Beal at the end of the day.
100%.
So just a solid job. Just a solid job. Spurs Tube TV in the house. We appreciate you, my guy. Thank you for being in here. And I think this might be a great way to end the show. Bryn Forbes, better than Bradley Beal, confirmed. Biggest signing of the offseason. And, he's going to get cut at the end of the year. So what does that say about Bradley Beal?
That's true. Doesn't even need to be on the NBA anymore.
Nope. Just needs to be cut after tonight. Anyways, going back to a little bit more serious topics, my man, Million Canoe. Once again, just want to reiterate, like you said, Ethan, the mental side of this tonight and the way that it looked on the floor specifically. I feel like if you've been watching this team, you could tell a difference in body language tonight with this win. We've seen other wins where the body language wasn't the same. So I think that's why right now we're really feeling really happy, and this is feeling like, okay, we had that players-only meeting that we kind of totally missed last week and didn't really talk about it, but that was something that happened. I believe Devin Vassell was the main guy kind of orchestrating that. And it feels like there's been a little bit of a mindset shift. Mm-hmm. But just remember, guys, look, if everything, ends up going back to how, after these next 2 games, ends up going back to how the beginning of the season starts, all that matters is bigger draft stock. And it just means that we're going to get, a more talented player. Every loss just means a more talented player. So just, if we could get something together, start winning some games, awesome. We start taking some L's again. Look, you got to find the good in everything. And we're, this is a good little stretch here, but it's only 2 games. So hopefully they can keep it up.
I'm surprised. I didn't realize Lonnie Walker only had 3 points.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy that we still managed to play this as well as we did without him being.
This was a joke, my man, Kizzy.
Yeah, we do that a lot in the show, and also without Devin Vassell, like that's kind of like he's been huge.
Lonnie found ways to contribute tonight.
He did,
and it's still a rough game for him if I had to grade it overall. But in the clutch, got that big steal. Shout out to Film Room. Hey, y'all go check out the channel Film Room. We got some dope Lonnie Walker highlights over there. Maybe a collab soon. Those are my guys. That's all I gotta say. But going back to what I was talking about, which now I completely lost my train of thought.
Devin Vassell.
Okay, so he was out. Well, I was talking about Lonnie Walker, I think.
Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, Lonnie. So, yeah. Anyway, it's all good. Now, we figured it out regardless.
Drew Eubanks.
Right? Yeah. Insert random player. Yeah, no, but Lonnie, not the greatest game, but still found ways to contribute kind of later. If you look at the stat sheet, he got about 5 boards, I believe. Let me see. Yes, and 2 steals, but also had 2 assists, a steal and a block. So was able to make some plays defensively, but still, he's just a guy who kind of sometimes looks out of place too. Or it's like you get him in a position where it's good and he doesn't make shots. And it's like, remember how last night, literally I said, the one thing that it feels like Lonnie does is he makes shots sometimes. Didn't make shots tonight, and it was like, luckily he got that clutch steal late. I mean, that was like, he can contribute in some way. So, I mean, that was more of like less of a positive thing on Lonnie and just like a positive thing on like Lonnie's effort, like not on his overall game. Like, thank you for at least trying to do something when it's not working out. Even
his
though
effort's
what you
always
did,
there.
Even though what you did wasn't that significant, if that makes sense. So, yeah, love you too, my guy Film. Y'all go check those out for sure. And yeah, that's why, maybe for the rest of the season, Lonnie should prioritize his defense because his shot isn't falling. I remember there was one specific play where I think Derrick missed a 3, and then DeJounte got a rebound, and then it was like the same spot in the right corner where Lonnie got it, and then it was another miss, and it was just like, oh, that's where you could come in and, save the day a little bit, but it's just not happening. Another reason why you might see a little bit more a lot more of Primo next season if Lonnie's not on the roster, because that's something that he is doing, and we'll see how Wheezy keeps developing. You never know if those Wheezy jump shots are gonna pull through in the start of the 2022-23 season.
That's true.
But yep, I think final takeaway here: Lonnie playing himself out of a new contract. That's one thing you could also take away in tonight's game. Through all the success, unfortunately, Lonnie still just wasn't able to find his place in that success. Where Trey Jones, even though his stat sheet wasn't very filled, he was a pest. Exactly. So, we all want to see Zach. We all want to see him in due time, Fat Boy, in due time. But I think that'll wrap up this post game, Ethan. What do you think? Any final thoughts for the people, for the SSPN fans? We appreciate all of y'all being in here, and the TSR people who are in here tonight as well. Shout out to you, TSR.
I just love watching these guys play, dude. Even if they're playing badly, it's just nice to see our young guys finally getting a chance to prove themselves.
Yeah, this team is so fun to watch. And yes, TSR, the raid did help. We appreciate it. It's Spurs Nation over here. We're excited to watch this team. It was another positive night. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed what we had. You can follow us on Twitter if you want to stay updated. It's just our names and underscore in between the first and the last for Ethan. It's just straight mine. You see it right here. And then you can also follow and subscribe to SpursTube TV. And SpursTubeTV.com, there is some merch there. So if you want to go check that out, please do. We appreciate all of y'all in here tonight. Million, Film Room, Michael Serva, Asia, Laura Latin, TSR, everybody. Tanner Robertson, yes. Bude, we appreciate all of y'all, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.
Go Spurs, go!
Go Spurs, go.